Welcome.
Episode 12.
12.
Kicking it off again.
Yep.
Same place, different time.
Same place, different time. So this podcast, since we talked about Bitcoin last week.
Yep.
Since we talked about that, then we're going to talk about gold a little bit.
Yep. A little bit, because it is there's a debate out there which is better. Some people like both, some people like one, and I think gold is kind of like, Bitcoin is supposed to be the better currency versus fiat, and some people would like to go back to the gold standard, so we felt like it would be fair to just mention it. You had some things you wanted to bring out about gold later on in the episode.
Some fun things, just a little like a fun theory with some interesting data to actually not back it up like hardcore, but just there's some evidence that turns out to actually make sense with the theory. It's just for fun. I'll talk about later. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
you want to kick it off with the gold, or do you want to talk about the wheat? We'll talk about.
We can do whatever. It's not a big deal. I did hear you. I heard you got a truck, right?
Yeah, I passed training. I passed what my instructor wanted to see. He was kind of like hardcore, which at first, I had 2 weeks and I had trainers. They were both great trainers, but they weren't as particular. Like, this person's new, he's gonna figure things out. The instructor I had this last week was pretty hardcore, like really by the book, and I kind of had some resistance at first, and I'm like, dang it, last week was good. Like, the other instructor was like, yeah, if it was me, I would just set you up, like, you're fine, you go out on the road, which I was, but there's definitely more I could learn. Monday, it was just him driving. Then Tuesday, he had me out, and it was a later part of the day. We had a couple stops, and for some reason, I just was anxious because I had heard things about this guy. I heard, he's like a jerk or something.
Kind of a hard.
So I was already not hearing good things. But I'm like, I'll be fine. But he was very, very particular about a lot of things, which in reality they're good. But in my mind, I'm like, oh man, I'm feeling like I'm going backwards, and what if he doesn't let me out on my own soon enough? Because there's a lot riding on me. I paid out of pocket for this. I put it on a credit card, so there's just a lot, and
high stakes.
Yeah, all the pressure and everything. It made me. I put way too much pressure on myself and just doing little goofy things that day, but it turned out great. I went home, just chillaxed, watched a little bit of Avatar on Netflix.
Oh yeah.
It was kind of it's kind of goofy, but it is good vibes. Chilled out. Start the next day. I'm gonna implement things. It wasn't perfect.
Sure.
But he's like, we saw progress, so I didn't let my ego be like, oh, you're good or whatever. And he had good points, so I just buckled down and wrote notes, trying to remember every single thing that he was talking about, which there was a lot.
Sure.
Wrote the equivalent of 2 pages of information.
Yeah.
To remember, to get everything the way he wants it. And
Sure.
yeah, set approved me to go out Monday, so we'll see how that goes.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, you remind me of when you mentioned Avatar. I had the shirt that I got a long time ago. Avatar on the front, and had all the characters on the side.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm so annoyed because my girlfriend's staying there.
Oh no. Yeah, by the Avatar, the Last Airbender. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Not Avatar, the blue people.
The blue people. Although I did like Avatar, the blue people.
I did like Avatar, the blue people too.
I like how we say Avatar, the blue people.
Avatar, the blue people.
that was directed by James Cameron, I believe, right?
Cameron,
Yeah,
great. producer.
Yeah.
Love. Yeah.
He did. I think was it Titanic too. I think.
Titanic. Yep.
Yeah.
And where he actually funded his own. Like he wanted to go to the deepest part of the ocean, and like created help funded the project to go.
With the movie.
Yeah.
I didn't know that part. That's
It's on it was on Netflix. It's really good.
Huh.
So he didn't go the deepest. They went the second deepest in history, the ocean.
Wow.
Like they go through the manufacturing process and everything. I'm pretty sure the person's like in a sphere, like a metal sphere.
Yeah.
Because it's the best way to
Deal with the pressure.
deal with the pressure. It's
Yeah.
pretty cool. They actually saw life.
Yeah.
Life at the deepest part of the ocean.
Yeah, that's cool. I know there's some pretty hardy sharks down there. Sometimes.
Hardy sharks.
Yeah, no, there is that. They barely move.
Yeah.
It's so freaking cold.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I forget what the name of the shark is, but yeah, not basking shark. I think the basking shark is the one that acts like a stingray almost. But
Yeah.
anyways,
My knowledge of sea life is lacking.
yep.
Yeah, that's cool, man. I'm glad you got your truck and you're out. You'll be out there trucking by yourself and be a lot less I guess stressful, or having somebody looking over your shoulder. No one likes that. It's like training's fine, but like who if you can be by yourself, it's like just makes life easier. And that's I think that'd be nice.
Really kicking off my trucking career for real.
That's right.
Yeah.
You're a real life
I'm a
super
real
trucker
man now.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
What was your week? You got sick the other day?
Yeah, I
got
did.
that flu. That sounds like you got the exact same thing.
Yep. I had a stomach flu, some sort of weird virus or bacteria that hit me hard and took me out for about a day and a half, and I was right back on the saddle. But it did. It was weird. Yeah, I had a lot of vomiting, a lot of contemplating death.
Contemplating death.
Like it's funny because like whenever I get, I think I might have even mentioned this before, but whenever I get just minutely sick, I'm like, I'm ready to die. Let's go.
I'm ready to die. Dude,
take me out.
Yeah, that one was rough. That
was pretty
sounds
brutal,
exactly like what ran through my whole family. It was quick, but it was horrible. It felt like food poisoning.
Yes.
And it you're just dry heaving anyways, don't have to get into too much detail, but it was horrible.
Everybody's go ahead and have lunch or breakfast while we're talking about that. There's
Yep.
digestive fluids, right?
Yeah. Oh my
You're
goodness.
throwing up the digestive fluids. It's yellow and green.
Oh, that's
great.
I said exactly not to do that.
But anyways, yeah. So, but I did that and recovered. Thankfully, it was really. I was really worried that it would be a persisting one, but I slept quite a bit throughout this week, and now I feel good as gold. So
Yeah.
good as gold.
Good as gold. Oh my
Good
God.
as gold.
That was pretty bad.
And now I feel golden.
Gold. Okay. Well, kick it off. So gold. Gold. Let's get into gold. Gold.
Gold. AU on the periodic table. Gold.
AU on the periodic table. And it's interesting because it doesn't react with your...
Nothing.
Yeah, so it's good for dental.
Yeah.
There's unique properties. You block sun rays. We'll get into fun things like that
Jay-Z
later.
can put it on his teeth.
Jay-Z can look... I think it looks goofy, but on teeth, but some people can. Some
people can. Nelly?
Nelly?
You know who Nelly? What's that?
I probably do, but I can't
What
recall.
you looking at? I'm trying to see your girl. You trying to see my what? Yeah, your girl. Yeah, your girl. Nelly. He does. I don't know. He does a couple songs back in more like the 2000s.
More like that. I don't. Yeah, I don't recall.
Yeah. He always wore I forget which was left cheek or right cheek. He always wore a it makes me. He's so fucking. He's so stupid. He wear a Band-Aid that went like across here. It's like not because he got hurt, but just for style.
Oh, interesting. Interesting.
That was his style. It was
Yeah.
like he just got punched and he just put it like, but he didn't.
That's cute.
Yeah, it was cute. Anyways,
But
but yeah. So no, gold is. I think gold is good. You know, it's a good thing.
it's a good thing.
It's a good thing.
Really?
What do you think? Do you think gold is a good thing?
Gold is fun.
I like gold jewelry.
Gold jewelry. I do want a gold necklace at some point.
Yeah, me too, actually.
And it's not like the big chain, just like a regular little gold necklace.
You should look up. It's Monet.
I have heard of this.
You have? Okay. Anybody else look it up, Monet? I can't really endorse them other than the fact that I've heard of them. I've been to their website and the fact that they sell, I believe, 24 karat gold,
Nice.
which is the highest purity
Yeah.
form of gold. So if you're looking to get a jewelry that is as close to, how do I want to explain this? So you have 24 karat gold, 18 karat gold, 14 karat gold, right? These are all different levels of purities as it relates to how much gold is in the jewelry. And if you have 24 karat, it's pure. 18 karat, it's lower purity and it's mixed with silver typically and some other metal alloys, and it goes further down with 14. But the reason why people mix in alloys is to make it stronger, not last longer, but I think.
Do you know what materials it can fuse with? Because there's most. It's one of the few materials that metals that it does not many things actually can fuse with gold.
Yeah.
And one of the fun characteristics is an ounce of gold you can stretch it out 60 miles, I believe.
Because of how thin it can get.
And an ounce of gold, I forget the exact measurements, but like a big table, it can a thin layer can stretch out all the way across it. So little film,
right.
Like a film of gold, and they use it for airplanes and buildings to prevent help keep it good temperature inside.
Yeah, you use it for the reflective
properties. Yep. Yeah. Which we'll get into a fun thing later on, more at the end of the podcast. I got a fun little theory.
Nice.
Well, I won't get into it yet.
Yeah,
I'm excited about it. You should be too, because it's fun. And there's a lot of evidence that a lot of interesting things as technology evolves, the more we know, the more evidence points towards some of these things actually making way more sense than they would have hundreds of years ago.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have understood it at all. But anyways.
Yeah, so it is cool that we can plate things with gold.
Yeah.
You know, and people even eat gold. They get like a beef steak and they'll get
gold flakes.
Gold flakes.
I don't know why, but that's always bothered me.
It has me too.
I'm like, this seems like absurd.
Very pretentious.
Yeah, it's a finite resource and you're not respecting it.
Yeah, well, I mean,
the
funny thing is, it's funny, and I do want to make fun of it, but it's also true.
Yeah, it is also true.
It's also true, because, think about all the man hours it took to get that gold out, and you're just gonna sprinkle it on your steak and shit it out and let it go into the toilet and out through the sewer system. Yeah. How dare you? Disrespectful person.
And I'm gonna make you feel even worse, because the slave labor that they have going on in Africa, which is horrible. You just
don't you dare me.
This is the worst thing you could actually the worst. The worst.
Sorry.
And it's actually the worst thing you could actually think of, because you got people dying to mine this gold and you're just eating it. It's not technology's bad enough, but then you're
We're banned.
sprinkling gold.
We're banned.
This is horrible. Anyways, yeah. If you think about it, it's so minute that it's like, yeah. But it's just stupid Westerners. People are dying to mine.
You know what's in my mind right now?
Yeah.
The Greta Thunberg.
How dare you? How dare you? Oh, it's horrible.
No, it actually is horrible.
It is horrible, but it's.
I don't know why we were laughing right there. I mean, I do, because
Yeah.
we're just in a goofy mood. But the thing
Yeah.
is obviously slavery is not cool.
No, it's horrible.
It is actually just now we're kind of shooting all over the board
Yeah.
as far as topics go, but like modern day slavery,
Mhm.
and I don't know if this is true. Maybe one of you guys can look it up. But I heard that there's actually more modern day slaves than there was back in the
Oh
day.
yeah, there's more slavery going on in the world and in the United States, by the way.
Yeah.
In the form of the prison systems, like it freaking awful. It's just convenient to ignore a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's super convenient to ignore like our cell phones and the products, the cheap products we're getting.
Yeah.
They like phone like there's these places in China where they have nets set up to like so people don't jump off, like when they jump off they'll be caught in the nets.
Shout out to Apple.
Yeah, Apple, yeah. And then the minerals that we're mining, cobalt in particular,
Rare
gold.
metals.
Like I don't want to get into it. It's so depressing. It was very dark. Early, it was very dark. I mean, it's just, yeah. I don't know. We're horrible people for laughing earlier.
Well, I
Not
don't even think
horrible.
we were laughing at
No, it's just
at slavery per se. It was just that like we were kind of laughing at just how silly the moment it was.
yeah. It was silly. Yeah. It's just there's comedy, and if you understand.
Well, I
comedy,
think laughing at very serious topics that are
Yeah.
very dark, I naturally do anyways.
Yeah.
But it doesn't necessarily translate right to all people.
No.
That's what's tough.
If you don't understand, like the military has dark humor.
Medical field
And
has dark humor.
Dark humor, where like you're doing something super serious, and it's a coping mechanism to be able to handle it.
Yeah.
But yeah, some people might find that. Whatever. Yeah, if you don't get it, my apologies. But there's a reason. And
Yeah.
if you don't understand it, yeah.
Well, we live in a dark world, you know.
In some way, yeah.
We live in a
Yeah.
very dark world. I mean, there's the dark and the light side, and not to hijack this whole podcast.
We're talking about gold, and we went into
that modern day slavery
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and jokes and comedy, but
keep on track, guys.
keep on. We need somebody like in the background be like, "Hey,
Children,
off
children."
topic." No, but it is something that I think. I mean, we're seeing that right now, and it's a cultural war right now.
Mhm.
Whether certain things can be laughed at and whether they can't be laughed at. And I mean, like I don't know if you heard of Shane Gillis.
Mm-hmm.
He just went on the SNL. SNL. And
I love Shane Gillis.
Yeah, he was. I think he was fired from SNL like about 5 years ago.
Oh yeah.
And he went on SNL and he just did a bit about. Down syndrome.
Yep.
He did a bit about.
They're like the best people. to
Yeah,
hang
yeah,
out with
exactly.
Because they're always happy. Yeah, they can do horrible things or whatever, but they're genuinely happy and pure, and you can find like goodness in that. Well, he was also making it was really good.
Yeah, and it was like he's like what did he say? He said until you find out like they're easily like the best of us.
Yeah,
essentially,
they are. Yeah.
they're the best,
Mhm.
and they're the only ones that are genuinely having a good time
Yep.
here on Earth. You know,
Yeah.
all the rest of us are just like depressed and like
Yep.
and like pushing away through life
Mhm.
and like can't even stop and smell the flowers, and they're just like having a genuinely good time.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like speaking truth.
Mm-hmm.
And also laughing at things that are traumatic.
Yeah.
And obviously, I would never want to be a slave. I wouldn't wish that upon anybody. But I think sometimes it's it's like finding humor in trauma, and then that comes to the point where, like, people say, well, you didn't have that trauma, so you can't laugh at it.
Yeah.
And that's another thing I don't really buy into.
Nope. No, this is, well, we're going to do a podcast about this next week.
Okay.
You're getting into where, like, my mind immediately goes towards, like, you can't have the freedom of expression, talk, and, like, get, like, sort through ideas, and you hear people with bad ideas, being able to have a place where everyone can talk and throw their ideas out and
right.
come to a consensus, not come to a consensus, but, like, all ideas are okay and you filter through the ideas.
Yes.
But there can be a popular idea with a mass of people, but they throw out other ideas. You're only allowed to talk about this
right.
idea. And they suppress other ideas. That's where you get into, like, fascism.
Regimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a
big problem in our world today.
It's massive, and this next week I'm gonna be listening to podcasts and trying to prepare for next week, because it is, I believe, out of everything that I've listened to, I think this is probably the most critical topic that you can get into. But
sure.
Anyways, let's talk about gold.
Let's talk about gold,
because this is what it's supposed to be about.
Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah. So basically, I mean, I think so. I hold a little bit of gold. I think everybody should probably hold the small amount of gold. I don't know how you feel about that. You may feel a little bit different.
I agree.
I think everybody should
gold
have
and silver,
lead, palladium, platinum. Mm-hmm. Some of these, copper maybe a little bit of copper.
I love metal. I love metals. I would love to have a bar of copper, bar of gold, like just all sorts of, just for the sake of it being super cool.
It's super cool.
Yeah.
2, it's not going to go away anytime soon.
Yep.
3, you might find yourself in a situation where, hey, it'd be nice to have a little copper.
Yeah.
Or it might be nice to turn in copper for something. It's not, how do I want to say this? It's not easily counted or tracked by the government, if that's something you're concerned about.
Yeah. True. That's a good point, that Bitcoin is very easy to track by anybody.
Yes.
So that is a very good point. That is one thing that gold is definitely better than any fiat currency or Bitcoin or whatever. And fiat, technically, if it's cash form, is still better than gold and better than crypto, because it is a physical thing where it's not easily tracked by the government, other than when you spend it at a store or something like that, the serial numbers.
Yeah.
But still, digitally, gold would be easier to track. I mean, Bitcoin would be easier to track than fiat, but it's still trackable.
Yep. I agree. I think it also matters, like, if and that's something that we'll have to research a little bit later, but depends on how. If you're opening up a wallet and you're just sending it from one wallet to another, yeah, you can still see that, but I'm not sure that they can figure out that's you.
Unless your wallet is public for everyone to see.
Right, but you have a public key and a private key.
Yeah,
right?
your private key and then true. Okay, got it.
As long as you're not attaching it to an exchange.
Yeah. Oh, yep. Okay.
So you should actually be good in that regard. It's just that when you start, now they can sit there and see, okay, like let's say they catch a guy for whatever, drug dealing or whatever, and they figure out his public key.
Yeah.
Then they can sit there and see who he sent money to or who he received money for, and then they could try to maybe track those down. But that's something that I don't really have a lot of knowledge on right at this moment. But it is very true. Like, so, metals, they're not 1 bar of gold for another bar of gold. It's fungible. It's the same.
Fungible. Yep. You can change the marks on it.
Yeah.
Whatever.
You can melt it down, and put it into whatever form you want. And it's not like the government's going to be able to know.
Yep.
Now the hard part about gold, I think, comes to the point where you're trying to cross borders.
Yep.
You know,
Transportation.
Transportation,
Is a
portability.
big downside.
Portability is not very portable.
Yep.
And so like that's where I think Bitcoin does have that upper hand, because even if the transactions can be tracked on the network, if you're not in a hostile government, if you're not in a hostile jurisdiction anymore, it really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
As long as they're not going to coordinate or cooperate with the country that you left. Like, so if you left the United States and you went into, Bolivia or whatever, if they're not cooperating with the United States on prosecuting you, it really doesn't matter. And that's the nice thing about Bitcoin, is you can sit there and be like, send, gone, to another wallet, or you just keep it in your wallet and you cross and you have the keys in your head. So that's really nice. So there's those positives. I think what I saw online, I mentioned this to you a while ago, which is that one of the big arguments against Bitcoin is the fact that there's no physical aspect that gives it value other than, or there's no physical aspect that gives it value, period. But then whereas gold, something like gold, has a physical properties, and they also have characteristics that are valuable other than the use case of money. So that would be like jewelry, that would be like for chips, that would be for for some things with rockets, buildings you mentioned, the reflective properties on the outside of buildings, for
electronics, all that.
Yep, all that stuff. So there is a base use, and even if you said, okay, gold's not money, and it never will be, it's still going to be valued in whatever money you're using, because it's still valuable outside of just being a use case for money.
Yeah.
Whereas Bitcoin, if Bitcoin wasn't good at being money, it really wouldn't be anything. Like, I don't think anybody would want to own Bitcoin if it wasn't the best money.
Yeah.
So it has no other use cases.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of like the downside of it.
Storing a value, it's there. And also it's backed by, in a sense, it's somewhat backed by gold, because it's backed by fiat currencies, which some fiat currencies have a percentage of that fiat that is backed by gold.
Not anymore, though.
Not anymore, though.
No. Not since
some of them, though, right? There's some countries that do have a lot of gold that
I'm not aware of any.
No?
At this point.
Well,
I could be wrong, but I'm not aware of any, because most of the countries actually went.
They're backed up by the economy then.
Yeah, they're backed up by the government.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the interesting thing is they were. So they were backed by gold.
Gold standard.
The gold standard, but then they actually, most countries switched off of that and then switched onto the dollar back in 1944, the Bretton Woods Agreement. And so everybody switched on, and that's when we have the US dollar as a reserve currency. And then the US dollar was supposed to be tied to gold. So everybody broke the ties towards gold and tied it to the US dollar, and then the US dollar was supposed to be tied to gold.
Didn't the United States, we had to give gold to the United States at some point, or the United States was
they're repatriate. What do they call it? Repatriation. Anyway, I forget that word, but it was Roosevelt. So Roosevelt, I think it was back in, like the 40s or so. He was basically saying that they passed the, I don't know if it was an executive order or a law that was passed by Congress, but they basically made it to where it was illegal to hold gold. Now, the only exception was numismatic coins, which is numismatic coins are like collectible gold coins. So you could own jewelry, and jewelry has actually never, and also the numismatic coins, and jewelry, to my knowledge, like from everything I looked at, it's never been outlawed by a country. So every time, because they actually have many countries in the past have wanted and tried to confiscate gold from their citizens, but never have they tried to confiscate jewelry. So that's an interesting fact. Another I guess reason for owning some jewelry gold. You know,
Yeah.
not to mention you can also go across borders with jewelry gold, and most of the time you don't have to declare it.
Okay.
Anyways, but yeah. So then in 1971, Nixon, they called it the Nixon shock. He then decoupled gold from the dollar, and I think it went from like $35 an ounce or something all the way up to like a couple $100 an ounce, right then and there. And the reason he did that is because we've been printing so much money for war, and so basically we would default if we didn't.
Oh, gotcha.
We didn't have enough gold to be able to pay our debts, and so he just said, "We're just going to print it."
Yep.
So, and anyways, but so I think there's like personally, and we're kind of jumping all over the map here in regards to gold and Bitcoin, but I think there's an argument to be made for holding both.
Yeah.
And also fiat.
Just for fun, a little bit. If whether you believe in either one or not, it's like, why not? Like,
Right.
Why not just have? I mean, like just having a tiny bit. Because what if something happens where, like, for some reason, you've got, like, oh, I wish I would have bought something, like, had just a little bit of diversity and like in my assets, and like the internet, or we got a solar storm that hit in your part of the world, and you can't buy like the digital asset, then you go to another country, you're escaping or something like that, and that you finally, like, that part of the world wasn't affected as much, but you still have that currency and something like that. That's a scenario where you'd still have it,
right?
But you wouldn't be able to buy it in that scenario,
right? And that's the cool thing about it too.
That's like the word, like,
honestly,
it's kind of ridiculous, honestly.
It is,
but it's just a fun example, just to have, like.
But so is Bitcoin.
Security.
I mean, that's kind of like the scenario with Bitcoin is like, well, so I actually do want to mention, like,
That's a negative and a positive, because then if you're in that country where everything got wiped, like electronics got wiped out, you're not going to have access to your crypto.
No.
So then you'd want gold.
You'd want gold.
You want gold or paper money.
Right.
You want a physical asset. That's why if the government just eliminates all cash, like what they're thinking about doing.
Yeah.
One of the major solar storms, there was one that happened, I believe, in 1800s, and they had the whatever, the freaking tap 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 Morse code.
Oh, okay.
Morse code.
Well,
I say
remember
funny,
this.
goofy things sometimes. But yeah, they were able to, like, run that without their batteries, because there was so much that, like, the solar storm was so strong that it was like they were able to run without batteries. It was like nuts. But it's
because the wind turbines were going so fast. Is that
not wind turbines.
I don't get what you're saying.
Anyways, I'm butchering this, but what I was basically, if we had that solar storm today, it would knock out satellites, all of our sensitive electronics.
So you're saying basically solar flare is basically you're knocking out electronics and you be able to run it without because of the electromagnetic wave that was going through.
So it was so powerful that
it was actually putting currents in lines.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. But our technology is super sensitive to that because it's so delicate that if we had one of those, it would fry them all. Like fry our cars, anything. Overload, yeah.
Right. Too much, too small of a wire for too much current burns the wire.
So, like, if you think about it, our grids and our civilization is actually very, very fragile. If, like, we had a massive event like that happen.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's cool too that, like, anywhere in the world, you can go with gold and a gold ounce, and it's going to be basically the same amount of money you get.
That's why it's in ounces.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like basically, and I don't mean the same amount of money. What I mean is like, you know, you could go and get an ounce and
Same
sell it
measurement.
for $2,000 USD, and then whatever 2,000 USD equals in yen, Japanese yen, is going to be equivalent to $2,000 in USD, and then whatever you would get in Chinese yuan would be equivalent to $2,000. It's all going to be the same, and it's called the spot price of gold, and that's across the whole globe. So that is kind of nice.
That is nice.
So it's equally valued at the same value, however you want to say it, all across the globe, and that's dope, because then that means, and it really, you know, unless you're excessively wealthy, you know, you have $10,000, let's say, in gold. That's 5-ounce coins, 5 of them. That's nothing as far as weight goes. You know what I'm saying? You could have a necklace and a bracelet, maybe several bracelets, and go to another country and you got $10,000. I'd rather have $10,000. And you think about it too, is like you go to most places in America, especially, unfortunately, I'll just say that most poor cities or more poor sections of the cities will have a we buy gold, we buy silver shop.
Yeah.
Right? So let's say you wind up in, and I believe it's the same way across most countries, and you end up in some third world country or some country that you're not familiar with, you find one of those shops, turn in your gold, and you get whatever the local currency is in your set. That's nice. That's nice. And it really doesn't take, I mean, the difference between having $10,000 USD and in a country that you're not familiar with and having no money is a big difference. You know?
True.
It's a huge, huge difference. It might be, you can get an apartment, you can set yourself up with, maybe find somebody that's a translator. Like, you can do a lot more things and actually protect yourself from a situation where you're really, really in a bad way. So I think that's a big positive for gold. Now you can do the same thing with Bitcoin, but I think that there's again, it's like, why choose either? Why not have both?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I think
a little bit of diversity. Yeah, for sure.
A little bit of diversity. I think, like with Bitcoin too, like I think there is some things like where, and we really briefly mentioned them. I don't want to go into it too deeply because we kind of talked about Bitcoin last week, but there is the whatever that the account that's had like 2 million coins or whatever that's just sitting there.
Yeah.
If that moves, that's gonna be wild. There's some whales out there that can move. Here's
another thing.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's an asteroid that they found somehow. They're with their whatever not, it wouldn't be a set, whatever ship that they had, not ship, but it's, why am I drawing blank? Anyways, they have this technology where they're able to see the minerals on an asteroid.
Yeah.
And they're like, this one asteroid has enough minerals to make every single person on the planet a billionaire.
Yeah.
So
there's gold out there.
There's gold. Yeah.
Yep.
But I mean, how cool would that be? I mean,
that is dope.
Like mining asteroids.
Well, that's what's so exciting about the future is like once we're able to get beyond, our world and maybe the moon, if you believe that we went there, and we get to these other, worlds, and we can start mining and getting those metals and materials.
Yeah.
And
we're on the cusp of it because if you think about it, I was reading or listening to a podcast about the history of flight. You got the Wright brothers who made a plane that was able to fly longest at that time, and basically it was just for the rich. So if you can look in history, it was just for the rich at first. It took some time, but did you see how rapid we were able to get in 100 years?
Yeah.
From that to what we've got now.
747.
I mean, in the 60s.
Yeah.
60s, the planes
stealth fighters.
Yeah, they were coming up with stuff that's insane.
Yep.
And that's 60 years ago from now.
Right.
But the massive leap in that period of time is insane. And we've already got really advanced spacecraft. So in 20 years from now, especially with AI, with like once you take if they make AI to a certain point and are able to remove the human error type of stuff, things are going to start happening like that.
There's
It's crazy.
You heard of have you heard of Kathy Wood?
Yeah.
Yeah. Arc Investing. I just listened to some brief clip a while ago, and she was saying how their fund doesn't expect things to be exponential in the future in regards to technology. They expect it to be super exponential.
Yeah.
So especially she was saying how it's not just one sector that is exciting; it's all sectors that are exciting right now.
Well, yeah, anything in technology, I've heard this too because that we're actually coming into a population collapse scenario where, like Japan, for instance, every baby that's born, 2 people are dying.
Yeah.
Where like it's a serious issue. South Korea, they're really advanced, but they're kind of just like America. Well, this is getting the like cell phone usage and everything, like not like protecting people against cell phones. I'm pro freedom, but there's like nothing out there educational wise. Like China, they're not allowed to have like kids on for a certain period of time, and it's all about challenges and everything. They're like, let's go, like all that. Like instead of that being prioritized on TikTok, our people are like just garbage stuff on TikTok in the United States.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you look at it, if you want to get ahead of another government, why go to war? Like no other country needs to go to war with the United States because we're literally destroying ourselves. But that's going off topic with gold.
Well, I did want to mention. Yeah. I think with the whole mining gold in outer space.
Yeah.
I actually I did hear about that, and I did think about that, and I was like, oh shoot, man, that's not good for the value of the gold that I currently have. Not that I don't like that in general. I think it's good. And then I was thinking, yeah, but in reality, the cost to be able to go get that gold and then transport it back to the earth is massive. So like you think about, they already have gold stores in planet Earth, on planet Earth, in different countries that they've already like pegged as there's a lot of gold here, but it's so expensive to get at it that we're not going to do that yet.
Well, there's not a lot of gold. I think all the gold in the world is like, if you put it in a cubic, I don't remember this statistic, but it is. If you think about how much gold there is globally that we know about, it is not like you can like it. You'd think, wow, I would expect way more than that.
Oh, let's look it up right now. But because I know it's not very big, because I know Warren Buffett was talking about it. I think he said something like it's like maybe a wall that's 60 feet tall by something.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
It's very limited, but there is mining companies that have mines earmarked for additional gold that they could go get, but they don't because it's too expensive. So if you think about that,
it's just like Bitcoin.
Right.
If the price is down, they stop mining it.
Yeah, or they slow. Yeah, exactly.
Once it goes up,
because it all has to do with electricity and how more expensive their electricity is. Yeah, makes sense.
Like copper too. Like there was when I was first got into demolition, the copper prices were insane because actually China was buying a lot of our copper, and mining companies were they'll increase production of mining, and then after a while it drives the price down, and then China stopped buying our copper. I believe this is okay. But yeah, they stopped buying it. I think actually because they got their own mines and started getting it themselves, and that drove the price of copper down by a lot.
Yeah. So it says there's about 244,000 metric tons of gold that has been discovered to date. 187,000 metric tons historically produced, plus current estimated underground reserves of 57,000 metric tons.
So over 3/4 of gold has been mined already.
Yeah. Yep.
About
4/5.
4/5. Yeah.
4/5, roughly ish. So
I
yeah,
still said over 1 3/4, and then or 3/4.
three.
Never mind. I'm just being stupid. Yeah,
Oh, like three.
I said over 3/4.
Oh, over 3/4. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
That doesn't matter
that
at
in
all,
there.
though.
Get that in.
Yeah, it's important to me.
No. Everybody. Well, no one wants to be not accurate.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. Yeah.
I mean, that's why we looked it up. But yeah. So that's interesting. But nevertheless, so what that tells me though is that the technology that they would have to. The technology that we would have to progress to would have to be at such a point where we're able to go
Comes down to energy.
But the technology has to do with reducing energy and increasing efficiency, right?
Yeah, but let's say we get to a point where AI is able to help solve the fusion issues.
Uh-huh.
The sun is fusion.
Uh-huh.
That's how. That's why it's able to last so long. It's not
Fission.
fission. Yes, thank you very much.
Yes.
But yeah, they're working. I just listen to a podcast about fusion. Once fusion exists, I think that would be like the biggest leap for humanity since like using electricity for the first time.
Right.
And because then it's just going to make energy cheap if you're able to make fusion like small, compact. The power of that is so immense that could replace rocket fuel and everything like that. That would really make it cheap, and like our rockets would be able to be smaller. I'm talking not out of like complete knowledge of this, but I'm imagining
because you wouldn't have to use the same fuel.
Yeah.
You could use this other fuel source.
Yeah, like the rocket. Now we're getting a rocket. I'm not even gonna try to do that. Anyways,
But
yeah.
no, I get your point. But it is, just like your whatever 3/4 thing.
Yeah,
It is technology though.
it is technology.
You know?
Yeah, exactly.
I had to put that
Technology.
out there.
But I have one hedge against one black swan against technology
Okay.
would be a massive solar flare.
Right, which we've had.
So if you bet
And we probably will
everything
have.
into technology and we had a massive storm,
Yeah.
it could, like, there has been insane solar storms in the past.
Right.
And we've been freaking lucky as a civilization for thousands of years. Because we only live 100, like maybe 100 years sometimes. Hopefully, potentially we'll live 150. But anyways.
Now we're getting
We've been getting lifespan everywhere.
Lifespan
My
everywhere.
brain, jumping around. It's fun. At least for me.
Okay.
All right. Anyways, it like technology, gold, Bitcoin, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like to think about these far-reaching things, but that's why it's important. Basically, what I'm getting at, like having a diversity in things is good.
Yeah, it is because you never know what's going to
Yeah.
happen. Like you were saying, if you have a massive solar storm, then you may have issues with your Bitcoin, possibly.
Yeah.
Possibly.
Anti-fragility in a portfolio, I think, is a really good thing. Like
Absolutely.
it's not like a doomsday thing. I think it's why not? It's like for fun, being anti-fragile, and I think critically, the way if you have a civilization, you want it to be anti-fragile, and I think that we are very fragile civilization. But yeah, gold is definitely a pretty anti-fragile commodity.
But look at what nature has done for us. It's diversified the portfolio of people so that 99% of them can die and we still survive.
Oh my, yeah. They believe actually at one point there was only 7,000 people at one point.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. Talk about incest.
And
Anyways.
some of them were on the ark. Some of them were, if you look at the ancient history, that 7,000 people are bonkers. No, never mind. Okay. Yeah. We'll get into that on another time. My fun theory, which I've kind of talked about probably a little bit. So
definitely, yeah, we'll have to get into that. Yeah. So let me. There's actually a chart that I kind of saw and it made sense, and I already remember some of them. It's just like the properties of money, and I thought it'd be fun to go through them. We'll see if I can remember them. So
you got this.
Oh, well, don't say that because I just didn't. Verifiability. So that's one property of good money is verifiability.
Mm-hmm.
So gold, sort of verifiable because, but we're relying on third parties, right? So it's moderately verifiable.
Yep.
You have to trust third parties, though. You have to trust these mining companies. They
Yep.
say, oh, there's 50 metric tons down there. Are you sure? Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Pretty sure.
Based on what? I did some tapping on the ground.
Yeah.
Anyways, but so it's.
Tapping on the ground.
I don't know what they do.
They do ground penetrating radar, and there's You're
like, I'm a miner. I tell you all about it.
I will tell you all about this. Actually, I'm really fascinated by ground penetrating radar. They're able to detect certain types of elements, and it's not perfect. But they're able to have a range. It's some sort of heavy metal. It could be lead, gold, or whatever.
Uh-huh.
There's an index of different types of metals that it could be.
Right. It could pass through.
Yeah.
It would go probably further through.
The radio waves,
depending on how dense it is.
Yeah.
Essentially, right?
Yeah.
Just, I mean, so that makes me think of X-rays because that's what X-rays is essentially.
Yeah.
Is when you shoot X-rays. The reason why it shows all the bones is because bones are denser than your flesh, right? So it goes right through your flesh.
Yeah.
It hits your bones. There's not as much on the bone, so it shows up as radio opaque there.
Yep.
So it's probably similar, but this is what's radar.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's interesting.
It's pretty cool.
That is cool.
Learned that about the mystery of Oak Island. They use a lot of ground penetrating radar, which I know that it's like really annoying, but they actually do find a lot of cool stuff.
Okay. What is this?
The mystery of Oak, or the legend of Oak Island.
Oak Island?
Yeah, you've never heard of it?
Maybe. Has Jordan talked about it a little bit?
Maybe.
Okay.
I don't recall about Joe Rogan talking about
it.
But it basically, I think it's somewhere in Canada, and there's this the history of it. There's been multiple people died trying to find this gold or treasure or whatever, but someone did find gold there.
Okay.
And it's just a hot spot for like ancient architecture. Like there's like a sophisticated trap system to like protect the gold.
Okay.
It's presumably gold. People say maybe the Ark of the Covenant is there, and stuff. But they've found coins. They found tons of activity. They found like this old wharf, this swamp area that they drained out, and they're finding wooden planks and everything.
This is underground?
Some of it, yeah, it's underground.
Okay.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
Okay.
But yeah.
Maybe we'll talk about it at some point. But yeah, that sounds okay. Interesting. Yeah.
I think it's the Knights Templars actually. One of there's evidence for the Knights Templar being there and stuff.
Maybe that was part of where they would store gold or whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe
something.
the treasure.
Yeah, it's been a while, but yeah.
Okay.
It's cool.
Fair. Okay, so verifiability. So gold, somewhat verifiable. You do have to trust third party sources with the radar, right? Cash, verifiable, but you're also trusting third party, which is the government, which might as well.
If you throw it under the mattress, it will get eaten by bugs.
That's true.
Mice.
That's true.
Yeah.
But it is somewhat variable. You can look up the base monetary supply, M1, M2, all that stuff. Then there is Bitcoin, very verifiable. You can go look at it, right? So you can see all the transactions, what the cap is, everything. So in all those three, I would say their Bitcoin wins out, right?
Yeah.
Definitely, because it's way more verifiable. Okay, so then that's one verifiable. Fungible, I think they're all pretty fungible.
Mm-hmm.
Gold is going to be very fungible. Bitcoin, very fungible. Dollars, very fungible. They're all fungible. I think they'll win. To some or less degree, I feel like Bitcoin probably wins a little bit because it's digital, so it's like exactly the same.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas like dollars and gold, I mean, it's fungible. It's basically the same, but it's not exactly the same. So I would say Bitcoin maybe slightly wins there, but they all win in that area. So verifiable, fungible, and then there's let's see here. Okay, so this is like history. How much history they had? So like Bitcoin, I think it was 2008 roughly when it got started. 2008, 2009.
2000.
That it was basically made right after the recession. And then so it hasn't been around for that long. Our current monetary system hasn't been around that long, really, since 1971. If you want to say that because that's our fiat system that we're on right now. So it doesn't have a great track record. Gold is it probably has the best record
As long as we know.
as long as we've known history, civilization's been around, and many currencies have risen and fallen to gold.
Yeah.
We've gone on to
Stood the test of time.
it stood the test of time.
Yeah.
So there's that. There's durability. I would say all of them are durable except for really fiat currency. I don't feel like it's very durable.
Yep.
You can burn it. I mean, network goes down. It's a really bad system. I think it's on like COBOL, computer programming language at the Fed. Like it's old as hell. So durability, portability. We mentioned that earlier.
Hard to carry.
Gold's hard to carry.
Yeah.
Hard to pass government and state lines.
Everyone wants, like, it's the thing, like, if you, like, thieves and stuff, it's something, like, that they want, or is, like, one of the most attractive things to steal, I think.
Yes. Fair. But I will go back to 5 coins is about $10,000. You can literally sew that in your jacket or whatever. The odds are someone being like, oh, this guy looks like he has some gold on him. Probably not too high, but I think during Hitler, Germany, they took all the gold. So it can be done if we're in a situation where it's that bad.
Yep.
So portability is great for Bitcoin. Awesome for Bitcoin. Portability is pretty good for the U.S. dollar. Not as much because it doesn't really have the digital rails.
And also the dollar's not as good. I mean, it's not. There's countries that just don't value the dollar anymore. Like that's the really disturbing thing. I mean, there's BRICS that's happening.
Yep.
Not a good situation. But anyways.
No. So then you have divisibility, right? We kind of mentioned that earlier, but they're all pretty divisible, right? And then kind of freedom from censorship. I feel like Bitcoin's pretty up there, probably almost the best, and then gold, and then fiat, right? And I think the takeaway here is like I think we mentioned this earlier, but owning both is good. I think because I think Bitcoin is a newer technology, and there still could be some black swan event that we haven't foreseen.
Yep.
There could be a hack potentially. Not likely, but it could be. There could be a possibility that whoever originally created Bitcoin is nefarious. Could be. Don't think so. But could be.
Yeah.
It could be that it's the 2 million coin wallet moves, or some of these other wallets move, could crash Bitcoin. Could be a solar flare.
Yeah.
Could be a solar flare.
Yeah.
These are some of the risks associated with Bitcoin. So and then gold. I think you gain some there, which is that it can be used for jewelry, it can be used for rocketry, it can be used for all these industrial uses, and it already has value there based on that. And then also, there's also a possibility that some of our governments go back to the gold standard.
And if you get caught with it,
You get caught with it. They could confiscate it, but it also could reevaluate to tremendous amounts if the governments do decide to go back on the gold standard. Now they could definitely not do that, but if you look at history, most countries have. They've kind of weeble-wobbled back from fiat to gold. Back
I don't think you have to
gold
worry about
fiat.
that in the United States. Pretty much the United States, it's like, from one of the things I heard is they basically were so far in debt, like there's no way to go back. It's like you almost just go with the debt.
Well, yeah, no, that's naturally,
Yeah.
but after the debt has been monetized.
Yeah.
After you monetize the debt to the point where the U.S. dollar crashes and it is no more, they have to come up with something.
Yeah.
And usually that's when the gold standard steps in.
Okay.
So.
Well, you ready for my fun?
Yeah. Let's
Why not?
hear your fun
So,
spiel.
they're the Sumerian tablets. So this is a theory. This is written on the Sumerian tablets. It's there's some of the oldest writings in history, and also the Book of Enoch. Enoch.
Was it supposed to be part of the Bible?
Yeah,
Really?
it's supposed to be part of the Bible.
Okay.
And the Anunnaki are mentioned in the Sumerian tablets, and the Book of Enoch. So we got two documentations, and it's older. And the fascinating thing is the older the documents are, the more technology, like more advanced technology that we can understand now that no one would have been able to understand really, like 1,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago. To be like, what in the heck are these people talking about? This sounds like sorcery. But so basically, some of what the Sumerian tablets are saying, there's a planet called Nibiru, I believe, and it's got this pattern where every 3,000 years it gets close to Earth.
Okay.
And thousands of years ago, the last cycle, the Sumerian tablets, they're like 6,000 or 7,000 years, or even older. I don't know the exact date, but basically they were having a problem with their planet Nibiru, and the sun, their atmosphere wasn't protecting them, so they needed
a lot of radiation.
Yeah, so they needed gold to find little tiny fine particles of gold to help prevent the sun rays from radiation,
to reflect the radiation,
radiation, yeah,
to prevent it from heating up the planet.
Yeah,
essentially, right?
Yes, something like that.
Yeah,
and basically they came to Earth, and altered. They saw humans or humanoids or whatever like that, and they altered some of their DNA, not all of them, to be able to get workers to mine gold for their planet to take it back. Yeah, it's kind of a fun little thing. I mean, it's on ancient writings.
Yeah. So perhaps the origin of humans' fascination for gold,
maybe from the Anunnaki.
The
Anunnaki. Yes.
Yeah. Hey,
it's just fun.
It could be, and especially you think about it. Why is it written down 3,000 years ago in this ancient Sumerian text? Why?
Right. Yeah.
What other purpose?
Yeah. I don't know. Emerald tablets. It's got interesting things about some. I believe it's talking about some spaceships or whatever, all that coming to Earth. I think in the Bible, I forget where it's at. There's gold there or something like that in the Bible. I don't know who it.
With the Ark of the Covenant?
No, I think it's in. It's somewhere in the Bible. I'm trying to recall. It's. I don't know if it wasn't God. I think it might have been the devil or whatever. There's gold there or something like that. I don't know. Anyways, there's been like you look, gold has had a special place in like everywhere, and like for instance, like the pyramid, the top of it, gold, and
It's covered
gold
in
is
a
very
hole. Yeah.
like conductive to electricity, or not? Is that the right word?
I believe it's conductive. Yeah, I believe it's conductive. It's just too expensive to use.
Yeah,
Let's look it up though.
I'm using the wrong word, but oh yeah, going to pyramids. I think that it definitely. I think it had something to do with electricity, not tomb like that. Yeah, I understand the book of the Dead. The Dead. The Egyptians were very fascinated by it, but
Yeah.
if you look at it, like the biggest structures we have, a lot of them are for energy. It usually serve the purpose. Is not, we love this person so much that we're going to build this massive, one of the 7 wonders of the world buildings for this pharaoh. Like, it doesn't really make sense. And the temple, the layout of it, it kind of looks like the microscopic parts of a chip. It looks like the layout of a chip, pretty much. If you look at a picture of it, do that. And you can go on Google Images and look at the temple compared to a microchip, and you line it up. What the heck?
Is that almost
It's
identical?
wild. Yeah,
Weirdly
it's
similar.
Very, very similar.
Very.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's fascinating.
That's cool. Yeah, I did look up the gold conductivity, and
It's conductive.
we
Yeah,
were right.
yeah.
So it's actually a superior conductor, even over copper, silver,
Yeah.
and aluminum. It's one of the most. They said it's one of the most. It's basically perfect
Yeah.
for conducting electricity.
Yep, it's in iPhones. It's in a lot of electronics.
Yeah. So good use for gold.
Anything you want to wrap it up with?
No, I think so. I think we knocked her out of the park. If you
Yeah.
guys want to get some gold, I think there's a website, goldsilver.com, with Michael Maloney. He has a website. He does a lot. Michael Maloney, look up Michael Maloney. He does a lot of stuff on gold. I think he's pretty cool. I think Peter Schiff's pretty cool. He has some. I think he has a website that sells gold too. I don't really know if they're great websites to buy gold from. Do your own due diligence, but you can buy gold and silver on there. So, all right, guys.
Yeah.
Have a good one.
Yeah. Well, next week we're gonna do a little bit about like fascism and Marxism and all that
Communism,
stuff.
socialism.
Yep. Going
All the
into
isms.
the Cultural Revolution in China a little bit.
Okay.
I heard a podcast about that, and it something clicked in my brain about the Sword of Truth series that you got me onto. There's like the best example of like
Terry Goodguy.
Richard Lee going through like an actual communistic society and just really detailed out. And I think that a lot of the history is lost. People don't really know what it is. Like, they know the definitions, but what does it look like in real life? Like, I'm gonna try to go over a little bit, or go over it next week, just to spot some similarities that I find disturbing.
Oh, you're gonna try to go over the Sword of Truth series.
Not Sword of Truth. I'm gonna use that as I was just using that as an example of what really clicked in my mind when I was listening to this podcast.
You're
with
gonna go
Tucker,
over
your
Carl
ideas,
Says
and
around it.
I'm forgetting her name, but she was on there, and she mentioned like struggle sessions. I'm like, oh wow, this is like exactly what Sword of Truth, and he was explaining communism in story form, and she in story form, not a legit not fantasy form. I don't know why I'm drawing a blank. But anyways, she's talking about in real life, like what she experienced, what she saw, and then Terry Goodkind was fiction of what communism would look like in fiction. And I heard that, and then I heard her story, and you lined up just exactly.
Kind of clicked in your mind.
And then she the way she was talking about it matched up exactly what's happening in the United States and stuff like that. And
right now,
I think it's paramount. Like, it's no joke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, we'll definitely cover that. I know we both have a lot to say on
Yeah.
communism, socialism, and kind of the ins and outs of human nature and where that leads at its ultimate destination when you take the idea of communism, socialism, and you go to the complete final idea of what that means.
Yep.
It's it can be pretty crazy. So.
Yep.
But.
Yeah. Well, thanks for listening, everyone. We'll see
right.
you next week. I'm gonna use my button.
All right. Peace,
Take it
guys.
easy.
Take care. Just kidding.